Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful Beehive State, is also known as Utah. And today's date, Saturday, January 23rd, 2016. Yes, and I'm not going to go too technical, I would say, or try to rant, or try to get this thing quick and smooth as possible. This is one of those days in the mood I'm in. So instead of, ranting at this moment, I would just like to, actually, it will be tomorrow. It will be Pioneers Day in the great state of Utah. And I'll be, like to address this, and I got this from the Library of Congress. It says here today in history, July 24th. And of course, you see a photo of a sculpture from Brigham Young. And it says here about Pioneer Day, completing a treacherous 1,000-mile exodus, ill and exhausted Brigham Young and fellow members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints arrived in Utah's Great Salt Lake Valley on July 24th, 1847. The Mormon pioneers view their arrival as the founding of a Mormon homeland, hence Pioneer Day. The Mormons, as they were commonly known, left their settlement in Nauvoo, Illinois, and journeyed west seeking refuge from religious persecution. The final impetus for their trek was the murder of founder and prophet Joseph Smith on June 27, 1844. Determined to settle in an isolated region, the pioneers made their way across the plains and over the Rocky Mountains to Utah. They lost many of their party to disease during the winter months. By the time they reached Utah, the desolate valley was a welcome sight. Potatoes and turnips were soon planted, and a dam was built. With a solemn ceremonies, the settlers consecrated the 2-square-mile city and sent back word that the promised land has been found. By the end of 1847, nearly 2,000 Mormons had settled in Salt Lake Valley. And of course, there was some maps here from 1891, and of course the temple modern temple grounds in 1912. So there's photos on here, and I am going to put the link up like everything else. You can really make your own decisions. And of course here, July 24th is celebrated as Pioneer Day in Utah and several other western states. The bravery of the original settlers and their strength of character and physical endurance is commemorated with festivities including games, music, speeches, parades, rodeo, and picnics. Of course, they're going to be doing fireworks as well. So, like during that, like 3-4 days in between of the holiday, it will be more like celebration. So, if you got pets, and if you come into states like this around Pioneer Day, if they're timid and skittish, put them in their rooms or in the hotel rooms or in the garage. It just is one of those things. So, like I said, it's a state holiday, and some businesses will be closed. Certain businesses, courtrooms, public schools, and all that will be closed. And it's interesting here. There's plenty of other collections, perspective on the Mormon Church, and they're all on here. So, definitely interesting time for this for Utah and many other western states that did have mostly Mormons migrated to seek refuge. So yeah, it's just interesting times. Like I said, everywhere you go around this time, like July is good when it comes to fireworks sales. I have the fireworks booths; they're all open all month. You can celebrate firecrackers and people shooting their Roman candles and all that good stuff. So this things happen when you have religious persecution, and it's just not just happening in America, okay? Just another example of tyranny. Whether it's internal, external, it doesn't matter. That's why people they celebrate, because a lot of them have tried to die and seek refuge during that day. So yeah, it's like so sometimes you say whatever you want about the LDS. I have my personal views, but I'm not gonna rant it on here. It's just another day of celebration. I would say what they believed in, like every other day. That's why I always tell folks: you live once, value it, and if you have a purpose, exercise it peacefully with love, homage. Try not to crucify people. That's a waste of energy unless they really earned it, if only if it's necessary. But yeah, that's how I see it with this. And if you're out there, because I know you have one for Sunday, and Monday is the observance of Pioneer Day, so a lot of businesses will be closed on Monday. So it'll be a nice little festivity. People could be celebrating and all that. If you're out and about, check it out. So hopefully you get a little key perspective. And I haven't really learned about this maybe like few years ago. So tells you I got a lot to learn as well. Okay, so next one here. So it came out today, I would say, yeah. It's an article by Walter Brash, opednews.com. He has his own website. It says here, article, lessons from the Trump-a-Thon. Here's what I wrote here. A 4-day Trump-a-thon, sometimes noted as a Republican National Convention, ended this week in Cleveland, with the Republican Party still divided and Donald Trump's ego inflated larger than a Macy's parade balloon. Trump was all over the convention hall, the hotels, and in the media, chatting, arguing, scowling, and boasting. It was the Trump's convention. He knew it. Trump had begun his run for the nomination with a simple but powerful campaign theme: Make America Great Again. Refusing to accept the reality that most countries see the United States as the world's most powerful country, and its president is one of the world's most respected leaders. Slipping to the campaign promoted by the Tea Party wing is play to take our country back. Back to what? To Salem's witch trials of the 1690s and the House of Un-American Activities Committee witch hunts of the 1950s, to the worst recession since the Great Depression that had begun in 1929, to the race riots of the late 1960s, the two slogans appearing on almost every piece of campaign memorabilia are part of the communologists call branding. In his run to make America great, Trump used vulgar language to ridicule a Fox News female anchor questioning the integrity of a judge who has Mexican parents, mocked a disabled reporter, declared he would build a wall on the U.S.-Mexican border and require Mexico to pay for it, demanded that the U.S. block the entry of anyone who is Muslim, declared if he was president he would abolish Obamacare, claimed Senator John McCain was no hero for enduring almost 7 years of Vietnamese prison camp, boldly stated he would be able to destroy ISIS, demanded that his potential vice president candidate submitted 10 years of tax returns while he refused to release his own financial reports, and juggled the facts worse than any circus clown with grease on his hands. State after state, Trump energized the disgruntled and disillusioned who believe they were ignored by the leadership of their party and who opposed just about anything the Obama administration tried to do. He got sustained applause when he attacked the lying liberal media, but was adept at using the media to get his message to the conservative wing of the party. His speech and constant Twitter messages established him not as a savior of Republican values, but as a populist demagogue. However, his greatest trick was to convince Republican voters that a billionaire real estate tycoon who had a small fleet of airplanes and boats, who was once a Democrat, and who once praised Hillary Clinton, was an outsider who could relate to them. In December, House Speaker Paul Ryan condemned Trump for his bigotry, which was embraced by several million Americans who had given him the nomination. It is not who we are as people or country, Ryan said, who now in the convention gave Trump his endorsement. Ironically, while the conservative base refused to accept LGBTQ individuals and condemned same-sex marriage, Trump has repeatedly said they have civil rights that must be acknowledged. There is just enough in Trump's political beliefs to entice moderates and even liberals. Well, I will say this. I don't believe in civil rights. I believe in natural-born rights and good faith. To me, we're all rights as individuals, and I will continue on. On the day of the convention, long after Trump had secured enough votes to be the party's nominee, the Colorado delegation, which supported Senator Ted Cruz, walked out showing disrespect for the leadership that wasn't open to modify the party rules. Boycotting the convention were several prominent Republican leaders, including 6 governors and 21 senators, as well as former President George Herbert Walker Bush and George W. Bush, which we all know they're New World Order material, Senator John McCain, another CFR stooge, the party's nominee in 2008, and flip-flop Mitt Romney, the party's nominee in 2012, none who were pleased that Trump will be this 2016 standard bearer. Well, I have to say this, those people I address, they're nothing more than pro-establishment and New World Order material. Okay, so end of story. That's my view. Also missing was Ohio's Governor John Kasich. About one-fifth of the Ohio delegation told the Columbus Dispatch that they will not vote for Trump under any condition. About two-fifths of the Ohio delegation said they would not campaign for him. About 85% said Trump, who has been married 3 times, who has committed adultery, whose profanity-laced rhetoric and outrageous comments about other Republicans in the primary race was not the best choice to lead the self-proclaimed Family Values Party into the November general election. Well, I gotta say this, family values gotta be within the family, not some political parade. All right, to blunt those who wanted their candidate to reflect the family values that pervaded 1950s TV shows. Trump constantly praised his wife and children, something necessary to establish a nominee as a family member and keep any more delegates from defecting. The division became more hostile on the third night of the convention when Cruz, and the last of the field of 17 major Republican candidates to seek Republican nominations and a strong supporter of Tea Party politics, didn't endorse Trump and asked the nation to vote your conscience. His declaration of separation was greeted by cheers, boos, and phrases that aren't usually published on air by established entertainment. Primetime speeches were short on substance and heavy with hyperbolic rhetoric filled with fear-mongering and journalistic appeals to a conservative base that is largely middle-class whites. Oops. Representative Steve King, he's from Iowa, summed up much of the Republican grassroots base. He claimed whites contribute more to civilization than any other group. Melania Trump's first night speech was so well delivered that the speechwriter resigned. The Trumps refused to accept her resignation, however, saying that all people make innocent mistakes. Her mistake, as reported by almost every reporter at the convention, was that she copied a few sentences from Michelle Obama's speech at the 2008 Democratic Convention. Trump spent almost 2 days denying plagiarism charges before acknowledging the problem. Most of the speakers possibly lined up to get cabinet appointments and ambassadorships in the Trump presidency reflected Trump's views of society. They touted his business acumen as an indicator he would be far superior than anyone else in dealing with the economy, even though most economists from all political perspectives have debunked Trump's economic plan, which would add about $30 to $35 trillion to national debt and would rival recession in the last 2 years of the George W. Bush presidency. All I gotta say is thank you, Federal Reserve. The convention speakers didn't mention anything about Trump's 4 bankruptcies, his proposal to give additional tax breaks to millionaires and corporations, or file lawsuits by individuals and the state of New York against Trump for illegal business practices and for defrauding students who enrolled in Trump University, which was never accredited nor gave college credits. The speakers faced a TV audience that varied from 20 to 30 million viewers, praised Trump's philosophy that a livable wage of $15 an hour is too much for business to survive, and that low minimum wage is desirable. You know what I say? Bring back sound money, okay? I'll continue on here. They didn't mention that during the primary campaign, Trump pushed for American-made products while he outsourced much of his Trump-named products countries where 12-hour working days, unsafe workplaces, and low wages are common. To thunderous applause, they did mention that Trump will curb the powers of unions, something that the candidates has already done with many of his properties where workers don't have unions to protect them. Conservatives emphasizes that they and they alone are patriotic Americans. For those who are far right on the political spectrum, being a patriot to conservatives mean being willing to spend more than half of the nation's budget on defense. Oh, sorry about that. And having power to send youth to fight wars half hemisphere away. It doesn't align with Dwight Eisenhower's philosophy that every gun that is made, every warship that was launched, every rocket fire signified in the final sense a theft of those who hunger are not fed, and those who are cold are not clothed. And they have a good point on that. I'm not going to argue there. All right, come on. One moment. And of course, the conservative movement, represented by 2,472 delegates, claimed they and they alone could be entrusted to defend the Constitution, although part knows they know seems to be confined nuzzling up to the NRA and the Second Amendment and defending the non-existent right of every kind of weapon short of a nuclear bomb, but were pleasantly secured within a front gun-free zone surrounded their convention. Boring. Now, sometimes this editor could be talking out of his butt too, but he has some good points. But I will continue on here. Hear all this lame crap. Yeah, they frequently declared that they alone would be the ones best able to lower crime, disregarding numerous studies that showed a decline in crime during the Obama administration. Yeah, because you know why? Because the states made this things called states' rights. Okay, be quiet. And sometimes this guy could be a ludicrous as well. They also believe in creationism, question the theory of evolution, believe in that emergent religion, and the state is acceptable, and Planned Parenthood isn't. They oppose abortion even if it's preserve a mother's life, and they devote millions of dollars to oppose programs that help low-income families. Climate change is a liberal myth, and in any solid minority of delegates, fracking is good and would make the U.S. energy independent, they claim, skating around the facts that oil and gas corporations, which accept more than $20 billion in taxpayer subsidies a year, are exporting oil and natural gas. Fossil fuel is the past, present, and future. They claim blindly to ignoring the reality that there are more jobs in renewable energy industry than in fossil fuels, and that most nations, especially in the Middle East, oil exporting countries, are significantly increasing the use of solar and wind energy. If we open up the market, we can do that, okay? Thank you. They believe in private schools, private retirement plans, and want to sell off public land. They want to rein in the Environmental Protection Agency and the Food and Drug Administration, which they say is having too much regulatory power, apparently believing that oil and gas, food, and pharmaceutical corporations will do what's best for the rest of the consumer, and that's not what's best for and that's not what's best for the stockholders. Well, if you look at the FDA and the EPA, when it comes to natural remedies and so forth, and the EPA is trying to tell the states what to do, yeah, it could be pretty shitty, but the problem is, it's not 100% beneficial, maybe 10 at the most, according to Washington Ways from A to Z. Check that book out. Throughout the convention, the delegates and speakers unleashed their venom on Hillary Rodham Clinton, Trump's Democratic opponent, calling her evil, corrupt, a liar, and someone who should be in prison. Many delegates compared her to Satan. Licking County, Ohio Commissioner Dwayne Flowers said Clinton should be hanging from a tree. Clinton said Clinton said Al Brassardo, a senior Trump advisor and delegate from New Hampshire, should be put in the fire line and shot for treason. Their statements reflecting the far-right demeanor that was the guiding party. Well, if you look at their actions on Hillary Clinton, I don't really blame them. But I believe in due process because I know based on the stuff she supported as a senator, she is not freedom friendly. Donald Trump, who can be charming and who delivered a brilliant presidential 76-minute final convention speech, seldom smiles. His demeanor, noted by his lips, which are constantly frowning or sneering, reflecting his party's campaign strategy of barroom profanity, laced anger rather than substance. He is a face of what the Republican Party has become. Well, Walter Brash could be right on that, but you know what? The Democratic Party are just in the same shambles. Excuse me there. So you gotta really look at this whole thing. Like I tell people, I'm very observant. I don't go, oh, we gotta vote for Trump or Hillary, Trump or Hillary, Trump or Hillary, And when I let these folks know one thing. I'm about to add this. I'm about to add this to my memo if I can. Look up electoral college. Okay, when you vote, when the people in America vote for the president and vice presidential ticket, all right. Okay, that ticket. It goes to the electoral college, not directly to them. That's the first thing you gotta look at. All right, and the fracking, yeah, there's some touchy things about that. I'm not gonna argue. So, like Mr. Brash, he has his pros and cons. But sometimes some of his rhetorical statement I find it pretty inapplicable as well. But one thing he's spot on. He likes it to everybody. You cannot look at these people as Lord and Savior. He can have a lot of great stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Donald Trump's rhetoric is always wrong. He has some good points. Okay, and I know I said this in the past too when he went after Bush and Ted Cruz, which they were actual facts, okay, about their families and like, okay, and I don't have to really get into it because a lot of you folks may know. If you hear my show, you know that for sure. However, you gotta be vigilant, okay? You gotta really put these people feet to the fire. Because like I said, I'm not afraid to ask Donald Trump. Will you denounce the United States of America as a federal corporation? That's what any candidate is running for office. If they give you a runaround, you tell them step down. It could be even Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, dumb down Debbie Wasserman Schultz, etc. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, like I said, do your homework, examine these people thoroughly. Don't look at them as your lords and saviors. Focus on your principles. And you have to make that decision, okay? And Washington, D.C. is not going to save us. We got to do it ourselves. Always plant a seed, not no tree, by starting on a local level, not in the federal level. But that's my little rant about this. So his article, yeah, he has his good and bad, but it might be a Hillary support in disguise. I don't know. But that's how I see things, my friends. Always observe responsibly. All right. Next one here came from Press TV. Came out today. It says here, Press TV. It says here, Saudi execution exceed 100 in 2016. The number, come on, one moment. Boo, doo, 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 doo. Stay right there. Good. All right. Says here the Saudi Interior Ministry said in a statement on Friday that Saudi national Fahad Abdullah al-Dazari was executed after he was found guilty of shooting a dead fellow citizen, Mubarak bin Mohammed al-Darzi, following a dispute. The statement released by the official SPA news agency did not elaborate on the methods of use of execution, but most people sentenced to death in Saudi Arabia are beheaded with the sword. The Friday execution brought to 101 the number of those executed in the Saudi regime this year. The Arab Kingdom executed a total of 158 people in 2015, a global high. Cruel and humane punishment. The alarming rate of executions in the kingdom has prompted Amnesty International to call for an immediate moratorium on the practice. Human Rights Watch has also called on Saudi Arabia to on the Saudi regime to abolish its ghastly beheadings. Saudi Arabia is speeding along in its dogged use of cruel and inhuman punishment, mindless of justice and human rights, said Amnesty's Middle East and North Africa head Philip Luther on Friday. At this rate, the kingdom's executioner will soon match or exceed the number of people they put to death last year, he further said, adding that many of those executed were convicted in deeply unfair trials as a result of flaws in the justice system. The kingdom says most of the executions are related to murder, drug trafficking, armed robbery, rape, and apostasy. Like an apostate. Okay. However, courts also have handed down death sentences to a number of activists over the past year only for criticizing the government on social media. In the most stunning case of executions this year, Saudi Arabia executed Sheikh Nim Bakar El Namr on January 2nd, along with 46 other people in defiance of international calls for the release of the prominent Shia cleric and other jailed political dissidents in the country. Muslim clerics have also denounced Radid for executing suspects without giving a chance to defend themselves, describing Saudi authorities as uncivilized. Well, you have to always see this as typical. But that's why when I see the politicians in the United States criticizing certain other countries on human rights violations, but they will bend over for the kingdom, but it's okay for them to execute people and treat them inhumanely as well. Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. Welcome to the road to hypocrisy. That's all I have to say. And I'm an individual that supports the death penalty in good faith. However, when I see his other garbage, including criticizing your government, you're gonna get executed for it. That's pure, plainly ludicrous. All right, that's why I go to really support countries like that, because they want us to be good little goody two shoes and go, yes, master, may I have another? Bend over, how far, please? But you know what? That's the Saudi way. Yep, thou shalt be a conformist. That's how you gotta look at it. And of course, they treat their people very apparently, I would say apparently, which means disgusting. Well, hey, the United States talk about human rights in other countries, and you don't want to talk about Saudi Arabia. You know what? Step down, because you're a bunch of hypocrites. Just like see some of these pathetic celebrities, which is in music and movies and all that. Okay, so you know what? I say the hell with the Saudis. They need us more. We need them. That's their government, not the people, but their government. And that's it. And I'm going to be next one here from TopSecretWriters.com. It came out July 18th, and it says here this 1962 study proved electromagnetic energy can make people hear things. In 1962, a study was carried out by Alan Frey at the General Electric Advanced Electronics Center at Cornell University, New York. Human auditory system response to modulated electromagnetic energy study found that electromagnetic energy can enhance the perception of sound. This study involves attempts being made to match the sounds that were induced by electromagnetic energy and acoustic energy. According to the paper, when using low average electromagnetic energy power densities, a perception of sound was induced in both normal hearing and deaf individuals. The closest match of the sound induced by electromagnetic and acoustic energy occurred when the acoustic amplifier was driven by the radio frequency RF transmitter's modulator. The research found that peak power density is a crucial factor, stating that an acoustic noise of approximately 80 decibels, peak power density of around 275 MWCM2 is required to induce a perception of sound at carries frequencies 425 mics and 1310 mics, or MCs. Allen notes that significant research has been conducted surrounding the effects of radio frequency energies on organisms. Such research, Allen adds, has been largely concerned with determining the damage that may result from body temperature increases. By comparison, when using average power density, measured in microwatts per centimeter, other effects, which are transient, are found. The authority notes, Allen adds, with the appropriate modulation with clinically deaf people, the perception of different sounds can be induced. This sound inducement is also found to occur in normal hearing subjects when they are at a distance of inches to up to thousands of feet from the transmitter. The paper goes on to say with different parameters, we can induce perception of severe buffeting of the head without apparent vestibular symptoms such as nausea and dizziness. The author of the paper notes that the purpose of research was to focus the attention of physiologists on an unusual area and stimulate additional work on which interpretations can be based. Other studies has been carried out about the effects of electromagnetic energy on the human body. In fact, in 2004, the World Health Organization published a report titled "What Are Electromagnetic Fields? Health Effects That recorded more than 25,000 articles have been published related to the effect of EMF radiation during the last 3 decades. In its survival guide to living with electro-hypersensitivity, the WEEP initiative quotes a statement made by Sage in 2007 that environmental exposures to artificial EMFs can interact with fundamental biological processes in the human body. The article highlights how in modern society everybody is exposed of two types of electromagnetic fields: extremely low frequency ELF generated from electrical appliances and power lines, and radio frequency radiation, which is created by wireless devices such as mobile phones, antennas, and broadcast transmission towers. Non-lethal weapons. The paper quotes Sears in 2007 saying every recognition, avoidance of symptom-triggering agents, environmental control treatments that may reduce residue toxins, and recovery of the normal biological process are key to regaining health for people with sensitivities. Without mitigation of the incident, people with environmental sensitives may become severely debilitated. The paper highlights that the biological effects of being exposed to both EMF and EMR are detrimental to the health of humans, causing a loss of homeostasis status and well-being. Furthermore, when we'll move away from EMF and EMR sources such as computers, mobile phones, antennas, fluorescent lighting, and other appliances, symptoms quickly improve. Interesting there. In 2011, top secret writers published an article focused on the U.S. exploration of using electromagnetic energy technology for non-lethal systems. The TSW article examined a U.S. Marine Corps project from 1998 titled United States Marine Corps' Neuronal Entertainment for Non-Lethal Applications. Following a FOIA request, the proposal was released in 2007. The U.S. Marine Corps team had proposed to embark on a year-long program which could determine the potential for high-strength electromagnetic fields to be useful as a studying agent in non-lethal technologies. More than 50 years after Alan Fry at the General Electric Advanced Electronics Center at Cornell University published the research about the potential impact electromagnetic energy has, we are much better informed about the real brain effects electromagnetic energy has on the human brain. In this sense, Allen and his team reached their goal in stimulating additional work in the area on which interpretations can be based. And there's plenty of credits to check it out. And I'm not really surprised because remember at this time I could hear different frequencies. I could hear your ears pop in certain areas. I remember a friend of mine and myself hear these energies and like frequencies, like we've been hearing stuff in Valdosta, Georgia. Just a good example. I just pay attention here. Boom, my ears are popping a little bit. You can hear those frequencies. You can hear those waves, frequency waves. It's like a form of mind control. So that's why you gotta really find gadgets which are out there, gadgets and so forth to counter all these things because they're trying to really manipulate the brain. The true problem is they want to control human nature. They use this as resources, as numbers, and this is why I'm very touchy with these little gadgets. I try to utilize them, not live off them. That's the way I do my thing. And I'm taking a little risk in the Wi-Fi and all that too, but we get the other ways of countering it as well. So you have to really think about these things and don't make them as your life, as your lords and saviors. Okay, so I'm gonna have to get myself some Block Your Pocket products. I'm gonna check that out, see how that is. All right, and hopefully just do that. Go there. I recommend do your homework on it, how to counter these gadgets, and we can all be a lot better off. All right. Okay, finally, this is some cool little news here, sent to a nice little friend of mine. And it says here, naturalnews.com by Ethan A. Huff is entitled, New Zealand researchers discovered living by the ocean actually boosts your mental health. There's a reason why humanity has an almost universal affinity for water. It's good for the soul and even better for the brain. Researchers from the University of Canterbury, New Zealand, found that people who live in the near blue spaces, meaning lakes, oceans, and beaches, fare better in the mental health department than the people who are landlocked, probably because being near vast expanse of water make a person feel like he's immersed in an environment untouched by human development. The research team the research team surveyed folks in living in urbanized New Zealand capital of Wellington, which is, despite its density, nestled nicely between the Tasman Sea and the Pacific Ocean, with plenty of spectacular views, both positioned at around the city. Some of those surveyed live within earshot one of those bodies of water, while others don't, and a comparative analysis of both groups was formed from this data. The result was significantly lower levels of anxiety and mood disorders reported among residents who see water on a regular basis, even after taking into account other factors while pre-existing health conditions, age, sex, socioeconomic status. The verdict was clear. Living near large bodies of water is great for your brain and helps you feel happier and less stressed. As to the outdoor spaces in general, researchers stress that the findings weren't necessarily correlative to parks and other green spaces, probably because these areas don't exclude the same type of great outdoors feeling as large bodies of water typically do. Amber Pearson, one of the study's co-authors, explained in a statement that it could be because the blue space was all natural, while the green space included man-made areas such as sports fields and playgrounds, as well as natural areas such as native forests. Perhaps if we look at native forests, we might find something different. The verdict is in. Water is where it is at when it comes to health and well-being. In either case, the benefits of living near the sea are definitely tangible and likely for many reasons besides the sheer pleasure of taking the multiple sights, sounds, and smells of pristine aquatic environment. There are many sensory impressions to be enjoyed, such as purifying properties of salt when inhaled from the ocean air or absorbed from ocean water. Researchers from the University of Exeter in England determined this after evaluating the benefits of living near ocean water on human health. Since as early as the 18th century, doctors have been prescribing beach trips to their patients as a healing therapy, or advising them to visit so-called bathing hospitals for therapeutic water treatments. Experts conducted by epidemiologist Laura Fleming and her team in a blue gym, an environment where participants were showed various images of places around the world. Many of them near water reveal that people tend towards water environments rather than cities and other areas. People are willing to pay more on vacation to stay near oceans and lakes, in other words, than to stay in cities. The same research showed that people who live near water, in this case English folks living along the British coast, are generally in better health and have fewer health conditions. Moving closer to the sea, the study revealed significantly improves people's well-being by about one-tenth as much as finding a new job. Even if you don't live near a beach, you can still take advantage of the best thing, clean, pristine drinking water. And one of the great options for getting this on cheap is with Big Berkey gravity-based water filter, one of the most advanced on the market. Great sales pitch, yeah, you know. They give the sources here as well. And you know what? I like the ocean myself. I like I like the forest and the mountains, and I love the oceans. And so I haven't been like I need a lounge on the beach. I didn't do it really this year, but I should take the initiative on making that happen when I head back because I really enjoy the water, the rhythm, the atmosphere. I don't really go to places that are crowded. I just go there's some areas I like go isolated beaches and I enjoy it. I can relax and put my mind in peace and just hear things. I just close my eyes, hit the sun, hit the water. I take a shower after get out of salt water, of course, but it's really cool. So I'm not the only one, and I have friends of mine that love the water, so I sent that to them, just thinking about them. And hey, man, just go take the initiative, my friends. Go out there, hit the mangroves where there's a lot of water, the oceans. You be amazed. because I lived in South Florida for almost 39 years, and I still enjoy the beach. So that's all I have to say. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to this episode. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, whether it's good, positive or negative, or you got any information you want to send me, please, that would be great. However, send your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. I said YouTube already, right? Tumblr, Freedom's Network, and Scene.life. Just type in Loki Luck 3 on your search engine. You probably might have other multiple areas you can check me out on. Or you can email me at LokiLuck3, that's number 3, all together, at gmail.com. All right. Well, I gotta say, it's another day. I wish I could do more, but you know what? I've been busy myself and making a living, so I'm not hired. I'm not getting paid to do this. It all came from the heart and soul. So all I gotta say is, once again, I thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.